Before we go on to the agenda, I just want to remind councillors and officers of their personal responsibility to declare any personal and or prejudicial interest in respect of any item of business on this agenda in accordance with the Local Government Act 2000, the Council's Constitution and the Code of Conduct for both councillors and officers. Please indicate if there are any such declarations. Well, thank you and welcome Mr. Vaughan and Miss Benjamin. Before we start, I'll make some introductions. My name is Councillor Shane Williams and I'll be chairing this meeting today.
Councillor Colin Gordon.
Good morning, Councillor Teresa Herron. Nice to meet you all.
We've also got officers, so we've got Lee.
Good morning, everyone. Lee Morgan, Licensing Manager.
Licensing Officer Ben Thomas.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Stephen Mock, Legal Officer for the committee.
We've got Abby.
Abby Brown, Environmental Health Responsible Authority.
And I understand we've got Miss Bess Wilshire, Christine Wilshire, and Lisa Bennett from the local residents. Well, thank you. We'll now move. Can I just say that if you have any questions, please feel free, and if you have any desire to speak, please indicate, and I'll take that. So before we move on to the agenda, I'll ask Stephen to run through the process.
Thank you, Chair. Can I just check everyone can hear me okay? Yeah. Before members consider the matter before them, I will firstly run through the procedure that will be followed during the meeting. So firstly, the licensing officer will present their report to the subcommittee, and all parties will then have an opportunity to ask questions of the licensing officer regarding the information in the report if they wish. Mr. Vaughan and Miss Benjamin will then be asked to present their case to the subcommittee, and again, all parties will have an opportunity to ask questions of them if they wish. We will then come to the Environmental Health Officer, who will be asked to address the subcommittee in support of their representations. And again, all parties will have an opportunity to ask questions of each responsible authority. And then finally, as we have members of the public present, they will also be then given an opportunity to address the subcommittee regarding the application. And it may be that there may be questions for them as well from other parties present. All parties will then have an opportunity to sum up. Please note that this should be a summary of the information you have already provided to the subcommittee, and no new information should be introduced when you sum up. Can I please ask that if you do not clearly hear a question or response, that you ask the person speaking if they can repeat what they've said. And once all parties have summed up, all parties will be asked to leave the chamber while the members make their decision. And once the decision has been taken, attendees will reconvene and the decision of the subcommittee will be announced. So that's the procedure for the meeting. Can I check before I hand back to the chair whether anyone has any questions or is not clear on the procedure? No. In that case, I'll hand back to you, Chair.
Thank you, Stephen. I'm now going to hand over to licensing to take us through the report. Lee?
Thank you, Chair. And members, and can I first of all welcome all parties to today's meeting. Members, the item for your consideration and determination this morning is an application for a street trading consent. Members, the legislation which oversees this licensing regime for this activity is via the Local Government Miscellaneous Provisions Act 1982. Members, you'll be aware that the authority has adopted the whole of this area as a street trading consent area and has introduced a street trading policy for the authority back in 2011 with some subsequent amendments. The policy sets out how the council will consider applications for new, renewal and existing street trading consents. Members, this morning you consider a new application for the applicants being Nathan Vaughan and Marianne Benjamin, and for their business name as trading as Bit on the Side. The applicants seek to operate a street trading consent from the location at 51 St Mary's Street, Risca, which is the side of Vaughan's Recycling, the Good Buy shop in at that location. Members, just for ease of reference, I would guide you to Appendix 5 of the officer report, or the bundle rather, between pages 23 and 28 to give you an idea as to the proposed venture and its location. Members, the initial application has sought to sell hot food Monday to Saturday, 8:30 to 4:30 p.m, and then from 5 o'clock through till 9 p.m, and then on a Sunday between 10 a.m. and 2 p.m. Members, following receipt of a valid application, our policy requires a notice for static consent to be displayed, outlining the proposed consent and the activities to be undertaken and the time that those activities will be undertaken for. Following the notice, the licensing team then has received a number of objections to the proposed street trading consent from several local residents, Risca Town Council and an elected member. The application is also circulated to internal council departments, including the likes of environmental health, trading standards, traffic management, and to external agencies such as Gwent Police. In relation to this application, objection has been received from the environmental health pollution team officer. So the street trading policy details what it seeks to achieve and how it seeks to protect the public, and that is by promoting the following: the prevention of crime, the prevention of public disorder and antisocial behaviour, the prevention of public nuisance, the promotion of public safety, and the protection of the local amenity. As detailed in the report, members, the objections have been received from residents, town council and elected member. A summary of those objections are set out at paragraph 5.4 and 5.5 of the report bundle. The comments of the Environmental Health Officer, Ms Abby Brown, are contained then at Appendix 1 of the report at page 9. Ms Brown is present at the meeting and can confirm her position in respect to this application for you this morning. The comments of the residents, town council and elected member are contained then between Appendix 2 and Appendix 4, and you'll find those detailed between pages 11 through to 21. The applicants have been appraised of the objections received to the application and, to their credit, have come back and responded with an offer to revise the proposed hours as detailed at paragraph 5.9 of the report. Essentially, members, they would propose to remove the evening trading and then also to close on the weekend. That position has been communicated to the Environmental Health Officer, and the Environmental Health Officer has indicated that her objection is unchanged despite the offer for the revised times. So where we get objections to an application and we can't deal with those as officers, then the matter is referred to the subcommittee, which is convened and obviously is before you as members today. Members, I would direct you to paragraph 5.15 of the report in terms of your approach to this application. I would also direct you to paragraph 5.14 of the report when reaching your conclusion after you've heard from all parties. Members, as with all reports of this type, there is an officer recommendation contained within the report at paragraph 3.1. The reasons for that recommendation are set out at paragraph 4.1, and this is based on the information available up until this meeting. Members, you were asked to consider the application made to you this morning by Nathan Vaughan and Mary Ann Benjamin, and the representations from the Environmental Health Officer, residents, Town Council and elected member before arriving at your decision. You will note that the determination rests with you as the members of this subcommittee and that there is no further right of appeal. Chair, what I propose to do would be to hand back to you at this point in order I can answer any questions contained within the report, If there are none, then I would ask that you invite the applicants, and I understand this is going to be Nathan Vaughan, who will make the application on behalf of both parties to you. So, Chair, back to you.
Thank you very much, Lee. Are there any questions for Lee from anyone? Just one question for me, Lee, before we move on to the applicants. Reference has been made to the nature of the building, and I know that the local member has directly referenced that. Whilst not a matter for us as a licensing committee, is there any requirement for that particular building to be to have any planning approval or anything like that? Are we aware of that?
What the applicant should do, and our policy directs them to do as such, is to consider whether planning would be required for any changes that are made to the building. Obviously, for things like the sale of food, if it was on a permanent basis, my understanding would be that A3 planning permission is likely to be required. The applicant may be able to assist you in perhaps any inquiries that they have made prior to submitting the application. But there may be considerations for individuals who look to change the use of a particular building for whatever reasons.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Thank you very much, Lee. Well, if there's no further questions for licensing at this time, if you've got any questions directly to licensing, you can ask them now. If not, then I understand you, Mr. Vaughan, are going to make your representations. Please feel free to do so.
Hi, it's Nathan Vaughan. Basically, the shack is on my side of the land, on my property, on the side of my building. You mentioned using it from the building, which was right. I do need the A3 planning permission to go from inside the building. But on the outside of the building is a street trading consent. I think it's been made out to be a bit of a bigger thing than what it is. It's been made out like it's commercial cooking, and it's not. I've got a small griddle the size of this piece of paper, and an air fryer. So it's the same sort of stuff that people are using. I've got photos on my phone. It's the same sort of stuff that people use in their kitchens. It's not commercial grade, like big cookers, big things like that. It's literally a small flat top griddle and an air fryer.
Okay, is that all you've got to say? Okay, well,
It's been made out to be bigger than what it is.
okay, well, if at any time that you want to come back in or raise any points, then feel free to do so. Are there any questions, Colin?
Good morning. Or is it still morning? Yeah, just about. You describe the unit as a temporary man-made food shack. A temporary. So what's your eventual outcome to this? What do you hope to achieve in the long term? Or is it you're doing this because you don't have to go through planning permission?
It's basically, because it's on the side of my land, the land has been wasteland for years. So I've just tried to tidy it up and try to make use of the land. Our goal in the long run is I want to start this as a base. Like I said, so we've only started off small with a little griddle and a little air fryer. And then I eventually either want to get planning permission in my building and trade from there, or open up a cafe somewhere. So the burger shack would be not in use, hopefully within the next 6 months to a year. We'll be out of the shack and into a building, into a cafe somewhere. But for us to get into a cafe, I need a base to start with a hygiene certificate. So then I can do pop-ups and events at places to get my name known, to then be able to get the money to open a cafe. So short term, I only want it for short term, maximum of a year, and I'll be from there. Our goal is to open up a cafe, basically.
Looking at the photographs, I know Riscal High Street, but I don't know this particular area. Looking at the photographs, I mean, have you done your research on footfall? I mean, because to go down there, it doesn't seem like a place you would wander off to look for food. So, I mean...
It's Central Risca Main Street, to be honest. It's the main road of Risca. So there is passing trade, and like I say, I've got my shop there anyway, where people come to my shop and buy furniture and stuff, and I get passing trade to my shop. My name is known in Risca as who I am, and when I set the page up to say we was opening the shack, we've already got like 500, 600 people interested in the burgers, and people asking all the time when we're going to be open. So it would be a good turnover, and it would be good for me, Mary Ann, for our kids to start working and eventually open up a cafe.
Teresa, did you want to?
Good morning, both. Given the strong objections from both the environmental health officers and the local residents regarding the odour, noise, litter, can you provide us with any concrete evidence-based measures that will fully prevent these nuisances, and how will it not negatively impact on the homes nearby? Excuse me.
I've actually fitted 2 extractor fan hoods in it. Like I said, it's only a small griddle and an air fryer, so it's not going to be much stuff coming from there anyway, but I've got 2 extractor fans built in, a kitchen cooker extractor fan built in, and all have been fitted with carbon filters. So they are made specifically to take odour and greases away from there.
Thank you for that.
Just a question from me at this moment, Mr. Vaughan. You said that you've only got a small griddle, but you just said that some 500 people have been asking you when you're going to open, so that this looks quite a significant operation then, and that it might be that small griddle is not going to cope with such a high volume of people. Is that right?
Correct. That's what I'm hoping, like, hopefully in the long run, so many people get to know us and we can get from this sooner rather than later.
I understand it, that if you was licensed to sell food here, we're not licensing the type of equipment. I think that's right, Lee. We're not licensing the type of equipment.
No.
So there would be nothing stopping you putting in a much bigger commercial,
a bigger grill,
fryer grill, whatever, if you needed to cope with the demand.
Yeah. No, hopefully we can only cook what we've got, and it's only going to be Mary Ann there to start cooking, so we can only do what we can and what she can. Most of the food is going to be takeaway food anyway, order and delivery. And like I say, the quicker it picks up, instead of buying a new grill, I'll be getting a new cafe.
And the aim might be to leave within a year's time, but again, once this license is there, there's no restriction on how long you can stay there for, theoretically. That's right, isn't it?
I am under the assumption that you have to reapply to do the new license. But no, it would be a year maximum. If I set my goal to something,
Lee, if you want to just clarify when you'd have to reapply.
There are various lengths of consent up to a year that could be applied for, Chair, but obviously the maximum length would be for a year before it had to be renewed.
Okay, thank you. And much is made of the location of this. I mean, it seems quite a narrow alleyway, and the nature of the building. So if you've got quite a lot of people, you talk about 500 people, and I'm working on that level. That's quite a lot of people in this particular area. There's nothing open. It's quite a narrow alleyway. Is that
it's
how that risk could be managed?
Yeah, because like I say, it's all going to be order and delivery. So it's not like turn up and ask for food, because Mary Ann's not going to be able to cope with people coming back and forth asking for food. So it'll be order online, come and pick your food up and go.
So it's a takeaway. So let me understand this. It's a takeaway service that people come to the shack to collect it once they've ordered it. Is that right?
Either collect from the shack or we deliver through Just Eat or Uber Eats.
So there could be quite a volume of traffic, a footfall to that shack. So we're not sure yet then. So we're really not sure how that potential nuisance could be managed then. Is that what you're saying?
No, There wouldn't be any nuisance. There wouldn't be no people coming in and out just collecting. Like I say, it would be just someone orders and it gets delivered by Deliveroo or Just Eat. So it'd be delivery drivers.
And looking at the outside of that then, the location, it's all double yellow lines and a bus stop. You know, hours I understand it suggested now at 9 till 2 p.m. So the delivery will be expected from that location, is that right? With the double yellow lines and the bus stop at that time?
No, where my gates are, I can put my gates back, so that's my land. The delivery driver can come into there and collect it, or they can use the car park on the side of my property.
Right. So just to be clear, there's a suggestion then that you could move the gate and they could actually come further down into the alleyway with their cars.
Just the delivery driver, not.
Right. That does look quite a strange location for that, but we'll may come back to that later on. I don't know if Teresa, you have another question?
I wanted to come back to the environmental health part, if it's all right. They've highlighted the serious concerns about the waste storage, rodents, potential public health issues. Can you detail exactly how your operation will comply with all the requirements and prevent these risks, and explain what your measures will be to us?
I own my own recycling business, so I know most companies who have food businesses, they get their bins emptied once a week, maybe once a fortnight. As I own my own recycling business, I will be taking the waste from there every day, daily, whether it's 1 bag, 2 bags. Every day the waste will be taken from there, so there'll be no food, anything left out for rodents to attract to.
What are you going to use for your storage in the, before they're removed? What will you put there?
Storage wise, it'll just be the boxes and the caps where the food comes in. We order the food daily from the butchers in Riscott and YS.
So
that's what we're going to cook to.
Sorry to interject.
Sorry.
When I mean storage of your waste, what type of receptacles are you going to use?
Oh, I have,
because obviously we need to make sure they're tight.
Yes, yeah. No, I have wheelie bins, so I provide a wheelie bin for the food waste, a wheelie bin for the recycling, and a wheelie bin for general waste, and they'll all be taken every day.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions at this moment?
No, I just tried to work out whether that's down
here. Yeah, that we're just looking at the image, just for people to understand, where you said that you're going to potentially move the gates or to allow vehicle access to the side of the road, to the side of the building. That's what you suggested could be a possibility. Is that right? Does vehicles go there at the moment? Is that used for vehicle access at all?
I can actually fit my van in there. My van is 16 foot long and 6-7 foot wide. So cars, and normally the delivery drivers local come on mopeds or bikes, so they'll have no problem just collecting and going.
Okay. Thank you for Mr. Vaughan. Are there any, I take it as Miss Wiltshire?
So as well as everything else, in this little alleyway, we're going to have car fumes, bins outside, and a car in this little space by our back gardens. Is that right? Yeah?
There's not going to be cars in there, no. It's just pick up food and go. It was, as I suggested to these, it was an option. It's not in the pipeline.
Yeah, certainly if you put the microphone on.
Hello, it's Mrs. Wiltshire it is. I'm just wondering, because they're all yellow lines outside that property, how they're going to be able to reverse out on the road without causing an accident. And also, there's another thing. We live in Courtrescall. It's a private residential area, and it's a residence parking only. And over the years, we've had issues with the St. Mary's Church when they've had weddings and funerals and christenings, and they've came in our street and parked. even though it clearly says residents parking only. And that means that the people that are disabled in our street with their mobility scooters have to go on the road to try and get out. And then you've got your mums with the prams as well. I just find it, quite dangerous.
Just to clarify, Mr. Vaughan, so I'm clear, I think you said that people could order online and come and collect it from the shack. So it wouldn't be just someone in a moped that's coming down that alleyway then, would it? You couldn't rely on whoever's ordered to turn up on a moped. So they would be expected to negotiate that narrow alleyway, is that right?
No, I'm not planning on using the alleyway. I just said it was a suggestion for parking if it was in association with parking. But there's other places, they don't need to park in Cotterisco. There's other places where they can just stop. I can run the food out, give them the food.
Obviously, we're trying to get the full picture of how this would operate, if the license is granted. And, so I suppose we're dealing with trying to get as much certainty as to what is likely to happen and how this is going to operate rather than what may or may not happen, because there could be, I suppose, unintended consequences if you had a lot of people trying to drive down this alleyway.
Like I say, the alleyway was just a suggestion, deal. That's not even been put in the application. That's not to do with anything anyway.
No,
that was just to try and assist with the fact that people being able to pick their food up and not being in the neighbour's way.
I'm still trying to understand how this high number of people can access this lake, and that's all I'm trying to find.
It's basically because I'm known in Risca. On my business page, I've got over 5,000 people. Now, that doesn't mean that I've got 5,000 customers. That means that the 5,000 people are following my business. So the same with the shack. There's 500 people that like the shack. It doesn't mean I've got 500 people when the doors open are just going to flood the gates.
No, you obviously want, as a commercial venture, though, as many people to buy your produce as you possibly could.
There'd be no point owning a business if I had 2 people come in.
No. Colin?
Yeah, you're saying to us it's going to be basically an order and a pickup or a delivery. You did mention earlier on, I think, about passing trade as well. I mean, looking at this, I mean, it is quite an untidy area, isn't it, this alleyway? I mean, well, looking at this, I mean, but you got openings on the temporary shack, as you call it. I mean, if you got orders, I mean, and then there's passing trade because you're just off the main road. I mean, I would have thought that's what you're open for as well, passing trade. So, I mean, how would you cope with that? I mean, and like I said, I would have thought it'd have to be a substantial cleaning up of that area. I mean, I gotta be honest, I wouldn't want to walk down there to buy food if I seen it as it was. But so what about your passing trade? Are you gonna turn passing trade away, or?
It'd be totally up to Marianne on the day and at the time, because obviously if we have no orders and someone pops and asks for food, she can cook them food. If we're busy with orders, she can say no.
Have you any experience with this sort of in the past?
Marianne has got a level 3 and stuff. She cooked in restaurants and all sorts of stuff. I don't do food. I just...
If you run a business yourself and you're a businessman, yeah. I mean, I would have thought on the high street in Risca, and it's a busy area, Risca. Yeah. Every time I drive through, there's always lots and lots of people about. I mean, I would have thought there are some small places up there which, you could go in and do it there. I know you need perhaps other permission or whatever, but wouldn't that be a better option for you than opening something like this to start with?
It would, yes. And like I say, that is our goal in the long run. But to me, I've already got this building, so I thought I'd make use of the land in the meantime. Instead of paying another set of rent on another building and it doesn't work, I thought we could just try here. If it works and it does go well and we have got a good name, we'll be in a cafe within a few months. Again, I could open it in my own building, but I don't want to go to the extent of spending thousands in my building and it doesn't work. So we just wanted to try it, see if it goes, see if we have got the following and we have got a custom, and then we would go into a building, as you say, in Risca, in a better area. Hopefully what I'd like was our own car park and our own premises where people can park, people can come in, they can stay for as long as they like. I know it's not ideal for everyone at the moment, but it is just a starting point for us.
Teresa?
I want to talk about your opening and closing hours. You've proposed reduced trading hours. Considering the proximity to the residential properties and the potential for disturbance during both your opening and closing hours, how will this reduction be sufficient to mitigate the concerns raised by other parties? Given that you also said that you've got 500 to 600 people interested in this establishment, so how are you going to manage this?
It's going to be a learning curve for everyone at the time, but to me, I think personally, is 500-600 people are just followers. They're not going to be customers. It's going to start slow, so it's not going to be as busy as everyone's assuming, and we are going to try to get from there as quick as we can. I don't want to be a disturbance to neighbours. That's why I said to reduce the hours, because I don't want to affect them for as little as I can. I'm happy to do from 9 till 2 and we'll shut doors. We won't do weekends, we won't do afternoons, so it'll just be morning. We just want to start. That's all we want to do, is just somewhere to start so we can go and get a cafe. Okay. Her goal has always been to own her own cafe or restaurant, so I'm trying to do it for her, but we need somewhere to start. And like I say, affording £1,000, £1,500 rent on a building, paying a 3-year lease with a year break, and you know it doesn't go right, and I'm still stuck in a lease for a year and I got to pay that rent for a year, I thought it'd make more sense just to start at our building where we are.
Okay, that's lovely, thank you.
Sorry, can I just interrupt? We have actually looked at doing an invite only, so to control the numbers of people passing or people coming in, so if we do get to open, it won't be like a free-for-all. It'll be on an invite-only base, so we can control the numbers that way. So we can say we've got, I don't know, say we're going to do like 15 meals, and it'll be like first to message, and that'll be it. So like more like an invite-only rather than just a show up and free-for-all.
How does that square with the passing trade, the desire to attract passing trade?
We're not looking at passing trade.
Sorry, I missed that.
We're not looking at constant passing trade until we get into a shop. Ideally, we just want this as a starting base.
Forgive me. What might come with a shop or a cafe, that's, with respect, not for us at this point. We're concerned directly with this application. And as I understand it from Mr. Vaughan, whilst you are looking to take online bookings, you also said that you're quite happy to look for passing trade, and that's what it's there. So it just seems a bit...
No.
Either you want passing trade,
where we are, we're not in the centre of Risca.
No.
We're not, so we don't get really a lot of foot people, like people walking past, we don't. We're not in the centre of Risca.
No.
And as for, I know the double yellow lines in the bus stop has been brought up. If you actually drive through Risca, every single bus stop has a shop, a takeaway, every single one. They're all on double yellows, they're all on bus stops, every single shop, whether it's food, whether it's for bikes or pubs, whatever. So our little thing is not going to be any different to the rest of Risca. We're at the top of Risca, which is really quiet up there, to be honest.
Sorry, Teresa?
I'm just interested to know, you've already got your shop there already. Have you looked at your shop for having, because I can see there's 2-story? 3.
I have, yes. So as mentioned, I do need to apply for the A3 to change it over. But like I say, to me, to build a shack cost me £2,000, and that was with the ventilation and the carbon filters and everything. All in was £2,000. For me to put it into the shop, I'd have to section some of the shop, stainless steel the shop, put stainless ducting in. It'd be more cost about 5,000 to 6,000. So the aim, like I say, is to make money from the shack to then progress to the shop or to another shop somewhere else, where I'd have the money behind me to be able to put the money into that sort of equipment for that sort of stuff. I've got my own business, like I say, recycling, and I obviously own the shop, but I try to keep my businesses separate, so I don't want to take money out of my business and put it into the thing. So I want to make money from that first to then progress to be able to go into my shop.
Okay, thank you.
I think environmental health might be able to help in a little while after you speak, Abby. It's just that you mentioned ventilation and filters. You say that if you did that shop out, you'd need ventilation and filters. I suggest you're doing this shack doesn't have such ventilation and filters. Is that right?
It does have ventilation. So as mentioned, I've got 3 extractor fans with ventilation pipes coming off them, and they all attach to carbon filters. But when you put it inside a property, you have to have the stainless ducting going up and out and around with filters in it. It's a lot more inside the building to put inside the building than it is in the shack. The shack is only 10 foot by 6 foot. So whereas if it was in my building and one part of my building is 30 foot by 20 foot, I need a lot more ducting, ventilation system, etc. But there is in my shack, yeah, there is ventilation.
Thank you very much for that. I'm still confused about the passing trade, whether there's a desire to attract passing trade and the impact that passing trade could have. But I
would like to get passing trade, I would. But at the moment, I'm happy to just work with everyone just so we can just have deliveries and just food orders.
And if you have this license, it doesn't stop you attracting passing trade, does it?
Passing trade is going to go where passing trade wants to go.
Okay.
One last thing I wanted to ask you, and I've been listening to these, all these suggestions and proposals. There's one thing that I am slightly concerned about, and that is if you're going to have these people coming back and forth, what if they need to use a toilet? Are they going to start urinating in your lane? Because this is a very real thing, though, isn't it?
I understand that. I've got 2 toilets in the shop which people are welcome to use. There's hand wash basins in there as well. Also, there's hand wash basins in the shop. But obviously, they can't use that because that'd be for Mary Ann for food and for herself. But there is sinks and toilets in the shop. They're more than welcome to use. And it's daytime, so I don't want drunk people coming down there peeing in the night. It'll be daytime.
And you indicated you wanted to come in. Is that right? Yeah. Miss Wiltshire.
Yeah, what would have been nice originally if Mr. Vaughan would have, posted letters or knocked residents' doors to see, what we all thought of it in the first place, without just going ahead and building, a shack, a burger shack, fully equipped, without even asking anyone. I just think it's rather disrespectful, and maybe it might have saved you a lot of time and effort if you'd heard the residents' complaints.
When we did approach Mr. Vaughan, his wife threatened us all on Facebook with swear words, and I have got the screenshots, lots of threats, which don't give us the confidence that they're going to work with us. Everyone in our street, mostly 70%, is disabled.
Okay, thank you for that. I will. You can knock that off. I'll come to you each individually shortly. But thank you very much, Mr. Vaughan and Miss Benjamin. I just spoke to Benjamin. Are there any further questions for them at this moment? If there's not, these things tend to be a bit movable things, so we can always come back. If I now turn to environmental health, and I now ask Abby Brown to make a representation. Thank you, Abby.
Hello, I'm Abby. I'm making responsible authority recommendations for refusal of the application as it stands. I acknowledge that the applicant has proposed a reduction in hours, which is welcomed, but unfortunately I don't believe that on its own merits would alleviate all my concerns. My concerns were alluded to in a summary in section 5.4 of this report, but for the purposes of the hearing, I would just sort of make note of the concerns for the parties here today. The main concern is the location of the shack. It's a predominantly residential area, and it's unfortunately very close to residents immediately adjacent on Coathrysgol. In relation to the application itself, unfortunately, when considering the application on its merits, there wasn't anything recommended by the applicant to promote any licensing objectives, in particular the prevention of public nuisance, which I am speaking in relation to today. From listening to the applicants, I applaud their will to pursue a business venture, but issues that could arise, such as odour, noise, litter, along with the surrounding issues added to inadequate storage of commercial waste, remain a concern. In relation to that, ingress and egress to the site, I appreciate that there are a number of ideas circulating in the forum today as to how the food is going to be collected, and it is difficult to ascertain at this time to be able to advise comprehensively on how to mitigate anything when there seems to be no clear indication of how the business entity will operate for the duration of any consent granted here today. I would also just like to bring the congregation here today to the attention of reference to section 11.6 of the licensing policy. It was an error of mine, so you shouldn't refer to the precise wording contained in my representations on Appendix 1, although the principle of what is quoted is relayed in my representations today. You may choose instead to look at paragraph 5.2, which of the street trading policy, in particular subsection B, which says and resonates a similar sort of a similar choice of wording, but it would be more correct to refer to that than the section 1.6 paragraph referred to in my representations.
Thank you very much, Abby. Are there any questions for Abby? Well, before everybody dives in, I'll just ask one question, Abby. In Appendix 1, you mentioned the nature of the structure and its location being difficult to mitigate any of the emissions that you reference. Now, Mr. Vaughan has mentioned ventilation and filters. I don't know if that goes any way of mitigating those such emissions.
I suppose, as touched on in previous conversations today, it is very difficult to advise on a business venture which hasn't been thought out to a point of what apparatus is going to be used, how they then operate, and how they manage growth of a business venture. And from an environmental health perspective, if there isn't a firm understanding on how your business will operate, there is an underlying concern that you won't be able to adequately mitigate any issues that could arise from the business itself, in particular to odour, as you'd say, as you mentioned.
Yeah.
I suppose when you are considering ventilation types, they have to be proportionate and adequate to what you are going to be cooking. I imagine that for certain types of food, the adequate nature of what is put in the shack, as the applicant sort of stated, whilst it might be okay for small apparatus to be used, it might not negate odour dissipating from the shack into sort of residential areas, really.
Yeah, and there seems to be some dispute. I think you touched on how this building may operate, how this business may operate, I should say. As everyone will be aware, that our task is to see how these 4 licensing objectives can be adequately met. And you say there's been nothing supplied to you to demonstrate how the promotion of the prevention of public nuisance can be met.
So when we look at any licensing application, there is a part of the application where the applicant are able to make proposals to support and uphold the principle of the licensing objectives. In particular, the one I'm speaking on today is the prevention of public nuisance. They are able to say what they will do practically to mitigate any issues. So how they will stop odour from being impactful on residential amenity, how they choose to control litter, how they will manage their own commercial waste to stop sort of rodent activity, and how they will control their waste as a responsible operator, how they will control crowds back and forth the premises, how they would control the conduct of delivery drivers, for example, using an offering from the applicant to sort of mitigate people coming in and day-to-day street trade, for example. At the time, there was nothing in the application to suggest any such measures.
Thank you very much. There's no questions from me. Has anyone got any questions for environmental health? Mr. Vaughan, if you've got any questions, you're free to ask.
Yeah, I feel like I've said that there's carbon filters emitted in there, so they stop grease and they stop odours. That's what they're for. So that would stop the thing. With the people, as you say, back and forth, antisocial behaviour, it's not that type of area. We don't get antisocial people in this area. I don't see how anyone going for a burger would turn antisocial. It's not a pub, it's not a restaurant. People are not sitting there and staying there. It's a small little venture. It's been made out like it's a big scale. But like I say, all my equipment is small. My carbon filters are made for kitchen appliances and for industrial kitchen appliances, even though I've only got small cooking equipment. So they're twice the size of what I actually need to use in what I've got. So the equipment I'm using in the shack is basically the same as what you've all got home in your kitchens. But I've got 2 extractor hoods where your house has only got 1. I've got 3 extractor fans where your house probably hasn't got any. And I'm in a smaller area than, so the odour isn't going to be non-existent. There will be no odour.
I take your point that you say you can't see how this could give rise to antisocial behaviour, but I suppose that anyone setting up any venture has got to be aware of the potential for any types of antisocial behaviour and what they could do to prevent it and mitigate it.
Yeah, I suppose what I would add is that whilst we think of antisocial behaviour as people shouting, being unsavoury to other members of the public, when you think of a burger van or a shack or a fast food establishment, we would think about the proportionality of the types of antisocial behaviour that could occur, such as dropping of litter, large congregations of people speaking that can be disturbing to residents, backing and forwarding of delivery vehicles, backing and forwarding of vehicles collecting food. They might not be antisocial in the definition that we use on the day-to-day, but they would be construed as antisocial to residents in the surrounding area that would have to put up with this on a daily basis. So I would just like to make that distinction, really.
Thank you very much, Abby. Mr. Vaughan, you wanted to respond?
I'm happy to work with the neighbours, like I say, in any way I can. I'm happy to do anything I can. But I understand what you're saying with noise and stuff like that, but it would all be kept to a minimal. I've got security cameras there, so people will be dealt with and will not be allowed back on site if there was anything like that. Again, my waste is be mentioned again, but I think I've outlined the fact that I'm going to be emptying and taking my waste myself because I own my own waste business. So the waste will be taken daily.
Can I just push you on that, Mr. Vaughan, if you don't mind? You said that anyone causing antisocial behaviour would be dealt with.
Banned from premises, not allowed.
Because I thought earlier on, I thought you said that the only person there would be
Security.
your
I've
partner.
got security cameras.
Partner cooking.
Yeah, on security. So there's security cameras there.
And there would be someone monitoring those cameras at all times.
24/7 because they're linked to my phone. Yeah.
And if you
and
was
the person who works in my shop
but
as
if
well.
you, I was thinking, because if you was away from site and there's antisocial behaviour,
I've got two people that work in my shop, so there's going to be two people there, but not there, so to speak.
And you submitted that point to the licensing team that all this activity will be monitored constantly. You've submitted that to the licensing team.
I'll submit it now. It's only just been brought up to me myself.
Can you knock your microphone off, son?
Obviously, Chair, that's not information I think that's previously been communicated until this moment.
Yeah. Well, we'll take that as it is. I don't want to stop you asking a question. If this is a question to environmental health, I'll come to you now, Mrs. Wiltshire.
And then I forget.
Yeah, that's okay. Before, I just want to make sure now there's no more points from Abby at this stage, or there's no more questions, because I'll obviously come to sum up Abby.
I'm happy to accept any further questions, but I have no other points to make at this time, Chair.
Thank you. Are there any questions for the environmental health at this point from anyone? Okay, thank you. Well, I'll now go on to the residents, and I don't know which one of you wants to go first. So I'll go.
Thank you for giving me the chance to speak. This was done without any consultation or permission sought from us as like immediate neighbours, so it does feel unfair and disrespectful that it could be put up without us being informed. But the location, I think, is completely unsuitable because that lane is already a problem area. There are rats there and cats regularly fouling there. A food business, I think, would only make it worse, attracting more vermin and posing like a serious hygiene risk. Also, the impact on our daily lives would be huge. Our garden is obviously meant to be a quiet space we can relax, enjoy some peace and hang our washing. Instead, we're now facing the constant cooking smells, noise and disruption. We will not be able to sit in our garden without smelling fried burgers, and I think our washing line will be tainted with smoke. This is not only a nuisance but also a risk to our health and well-being. We should not be forced to give up the enjoyment of our home and garden because someone has decided to run a food shack in such an inappropriate space. And also, Mr. Vaughan, you mentioned that you're operating as a takeaway, but I've noticed outside my bedroom window there were tables and chairs erected outside the structure. Thank you.
There's no tables and chairs there.
Thank you very much. Mrs. Bennett?
Hiya, yeah, sorry, I'm speaking for my next door neighbour as well, as her mental health couldn't
That's totally fine.
Like I stated, most of our street are disabled, including my husband who's terminally ill as well. He has cerebellar degeneration, he's 35 years of age and there's no cure, so basically his brain is dying and he's losing aspects of his speech, his mobility and everything else. So he is seriously ill at the moment and he doesn't leave the house because it's like a form of Parkinson's. When your brain shuts down, you lose all aspects of your neurology, really. So he's in the house all the time. So obviously he doesn't like facing people a lot because obviously his tremors and everything that's happening to him at such a young age that, you know, he's got severe anxiety. And he does, he goes in his garden because that's his saving, you know, that's his little bit of outside because, you know, how do you deal with what he's got to deal with? And, you know, people so close to a garden, that's going to, you know, whatever life he has got left, that's going to have a massive impact, as well as my son having autism. And on top of that, when I did try to approach Mr. Vaughan and explain this, I had nothing but threats. So there's no reasonable guarantee. And I have got the screenshots for the abuse on Facebook over that. And I am actually in the food business myself. I got to work because my husband's ill. I actually own a food premises in Trinant, a pub. So obviously nothing to do with Risca. It wouldn't affect my business at all. So there's no, prejudice there. But I have been in this business 20 years. I've taught in Nash College, food. I'm very experienced in this department. I've been head chef at the Celtic Manor for 7 years. So I've got a lot of experience in this industry. And I know for a fact there is not a residential grill that size, for starters. It would be that size, which would be the smallest. And on top of that, you cannot use an air fryer to cook chips for a business because chips are mostly on everything. It would take too long. You wouldn't be able to keep up because they take ages to cook. So it would be fryers used. And he says carbon filters. It's got an open hatch, so they wouldn't stop the fumes from coming through the open hatch. They wouldn't. I've been in this business a long, long time. I've got a lot of credibility for my work, so I do know these things. So that's absolute nonsense. It wouldn't work like that, and to keep up with that flow, that fryer would be on all day, doing breakfasts, hash browns. If they even use the air fryer, they would have a lot of electric to keep up. It's going to cause a lot of problems. And like most of my next door neighbour who suffers with mental health, who doesn't leave the house, goes in her garden a lot, they're elderly. For us, this is, I work myself. When I come home, I want to feel like, this is my shut off. Why should we have that at the bottom of our garden? Why should we be abused on Facebook for having views and threatened? Yeah. And that's all I've got to say, really.
Thank you very much, Mrs. Bennett. Mrs. Wiltshire, did you want to come in?
I would just like to say that I was one of the first residents in Quarteruskel. 30 years I've been there now, and over the years there's been different people renting that buy and sell shop off. I don't know whether it's a council or not. There's always been bins in that area at the back where Mr. Vaughan have put his burger shack. But the amount of rats that have been seen in people's gardens and driveways and over in that area over the years has been quite a lot. And the thing is, we only live about 2 to 3 minutes walking distance from the Ebbw River. So obviously, that's where they're coming from. And that is a real, it's a real worry for me. Not only the fact that the shack is like 4 foot from my garden.
I think there was some reference in the report that there's rats everywhere.
Yeah.
But
even though there are bins.
But I think on a lot of fast food places, it's a hotspot for rats.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, but we're living in close proximity to the river, and maybe that might make the situation a little more worse. I don't know. That's right.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
I'll now ask anyone who's got questions of you three, if you don't mind. Mr. Vaughan, Miss Benjamin, is there anything you want to ask of the residents? One from me, if you don't mind. Mrs. Bennett, you said about your garden and your husband's use of the garden. You live nearby this, near to this.
Me.
Well,
Mrs. Wiltshire. Yeah.
Well, I did say Mrs. Bennett, but either way.
I live one door up from Mrs. Wiltshire,
and
so it is literally.
So you live nearby this alleyway, then I put it.
The neighbour I'm speaking for lives next door to Mrs. Wiltshire, so there's 3 of us. So we are in our alleyway. We're the closest.
Yeah, I understand that. And you mentioned your experience in the food business and the
yeah, I've got 20 years.
The extensive. I'm not sure this might be fair to ask you this, Mrs. Bennett, but maybe licensing or Abby might be able to help me out. The nature of this shack, I see it's all wood. There's reference to chips and fire. Yeah. Yeah. Can you put your microphone on?
Oh, and there's an open hatch as well.
Right.
So there's no way that any filter in such a small building will keep them in.
So
It won't.
You've got the filter, but there was some suggestion, I think, from the residents' objection. I don't know if it was either of you. It had been a potential fire risk. I don't know if that's a concern directly for us, Lee, but I think Mrs. Bennett touched on that what's likely to be used or would need to be used.
An air fryer wouldn't keep up.
And looking at the nature of the building, is that something we should concern ourselves or not?
In order for, in relation to the consent, to date, obviously, because the business hasn't started trading yet, the shack, I don't believe, has been inspected by the environmental health food team. Right. Obviously, food and health and safety would look at the condition of the venture, and obviously would feed back to us with any concerns. At this moment in time, however, that business isn't operating, and they would not be engaged until such point as food business registration is submitted, and effectively the trader would be ready to go.
Okay. Thank you very much for that clarification. Mr. Vaughan?
The building has been inspected by health and safety. The food hygiene people have been out and looked at the building, and he had no problems at all. He said, so you're correct in saying, but I have to be trading for them to give me a food hygiene rating, but he's been out. All the building has been insulated and then plastic cladded on the inside with wiped down plastic and stainless steel. So it is all wipeable. It's all clean. There's no holes in it. And hygiene, I've been out and inspected it. But
thank you. Mrs. Bennett?
So if hygiene's been out, so you've got your food rating then, as you would have if you've been inspected, other than it being a pre-visit where you'd be advised? So have you had your rating?
If you just paid attention to what I said the food hygiene have been out, and I have to be open for them to give me the hygiene rating.
So it's a pre-visit then?
Hygiene rating at the moment, and then once I'm operating, as set by the council, then they give me the food hygiene rating. I cannot get a food hygiene rating until I am operating.
Thank you, Mrs. Bennett. Thank you. Abby?
I suppose from our perspective, regardless of what's happened to date in terms of the condition and the hygiene rating aspects of the discussion that's just been had, when we are considering nuisance, whilst the extraction fitted at the moment would go some way to mitigate in the immediate vicinity, the dimensions and the closeness in proximity to the shack is unlikely to allay odour to an extent that is acceptable not to cause impacts to residential amenity. I would say that. Similarly to noise as well, it offers little, if no acoustic attenuation, just due to the fact of the construction that it is, and that's no fault to anyone. It is just the construction wouldn't give any acoustic attenuation at all.
Thank you for that, okay. Abby. Thank you. Are there any further questions at this point for either the residents or environmental health? Okay, well, if there are no further questions, I'll now hand over to Lee to sum up the licensing.
Thank you, Chair. Chair, you have before you this morning the officer report, which contains the circumstances of this application, what is sought by the applicant, a street trading consent to operate from 51 St Mary Street in Risca from the shack. You will see the representations then that were received following the advertising of the application contained in your pack, and also that and of the concerns then of the environmental health officer. You'll see that the environmental health officer the comments of the Environmental Health Officer, as per the statement of licensing policy, carries some weight, and you'll see that contained within the council's street trading policy. So the concerns are in relation to public nuisance, or the potential for public nuisance. In addition to the information contained in the officer report, you will have heard an amount of information this morning provided by both the applicant and environmental health, and from local residents, which you've obviously may have heard for the first time. As a panel, you are effectively now tasked with looking at the application that's been made, taking into consideration the council's street trading policy, and then arriving at a determination of this application as to whether a consent should be granted. I would just repeat something from earlier, in so much as the decision of the members, this panel, will be final, and that there is no further right of appeal following your decision this morning, or this afternoon, I should say. So, Chair, that is a very short summary from me. I know you will take into account all of the information you've heard or have seen and read, and that's it from me at this point. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Lee. Go on, Colin.
We're talking about objections from residents, environmental health, and the local member. The local member hasn't really objected. You've just reiterated what residents has said in a question to a licensing officer. So, I mean, he hasn't objected himself personally.
Obviously, it's his comments were forwarded to us following the receipt of the application. Obviously, and obviously he is not here today to provide you with any further information as to any concerns that he may or may not have. But obviously, his comments were forwarded. I think there's reference to him being contacted by other residents when he has submitted his comments to our team, effectively, Councillor Gordon.
Thank you very much. What I propose to do, I'll go to Mr. Vaughan last to sum up. So if I go to you, Abby, to just sum up, please.
Nothing more from Environmental Health as a responsible authority, other than to sort of echo that my concerns, having heard everyone speak today, still remain. There are issues that could arise from the operation of the business, and I don't think, due to the location, they can be adequately addressed, unfortunately, in this instance. It is a professional opinion of mine to uphold the objections that I have, and also just to state that whilst we can sort of sympathise with the position that the applicant may be in, unfortunately on this occasion there doesn't seem to be a way, in my opinion, to adequately address these concerns to minimise or eradicate adverse impacts to the residential amenity.
Thank you, Abby. And without adding anything new, is there any summing up, Mrs. Wiltshire, Ms. Bennett? Okay. Now, Mr. Vaughan, I ask you to sum up your position, please.
I have nothing further else to say. I'm happy just to leave it in your hands now.
Thank you very much. Thank you all for that. I'll now hand over to Stephen.
Thank you, Chair. In a moment, the subcommittee will enter a private session to discuss the application and the representations they've heard today. I will be in attendance to offer legal advice, and the committee clerk will also be present. All other parties will be asked to leave the chamber once the members are reaching their decision. And once the decision has been reached, all attendees will be invited back in, and the meeting will be reconvened and the decision of the subcommittee will be announced. Back to you, Chair.
Thank you very much, Stephen. Well, we are now going to retire. I'm going to close this part of the meeting so then we consider the decision. Thank you all.